Recently, due to various reasons, more and more people are moving to Texas. Well, about 9 years ago, I myself packed up my whole life and moved to Texas. Well, moving to Texas was definitely one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. There are definitely things that I wish I knew before moving to Texas. So in today's video, I want to make a video about things you need to know before moving to Texas, and hopefully this experience can help you as well. Texas is a huge state with abundant resources. You can definitely buy a huge house at a lower price, and the living expenses here in general are comparatively lower than a lot of other states in the United States. As the old saying goes, everything is bigger in Texas. You can definitely buy a huge house here with a lower price compared to a lot of places such as California, but you can also enjoy the country views and the urban view depending on which location you choose to live. So it's really a place that you're close to the country, but at the same time very accessible to the city. Although it's good to know that the living expenses here in Texas is pretty low, but do remember that we do make less money on average if you live in Texas. So do keep in mind that although you spend less money, you also make less money. One of the big benefits of living in Texas is affordable housing. I'm originally from Beijing, China, and the housing in Beijing, oh my, they're crazy. A 2-bedroom apartment could priced as $1.6 million to $2 million, well, depending on the location. So I've never dreamed to buy a house this size, and of course, way under that price tag. So definitely affordable housing is one of the huge benefits of living in Texas. And honestly, once you go big, it's never easy to go smaller. Another big benefit of living in Texas is there is no state income tax, and honestly, my paycheck has never been happier. There is a pretty high sales tax, but as long as you don't buy too much stuff, it's kind of acceptable. However, there is a big drawback of the no state income tax is that there is a very high property tax. So every single year, we have to pay a huge amount of money by owning our property. And honestly, it hurts my soul to see that some of the other states have almost half of the state property tax. And of course, it depends on where you live and the value of the houses in your area, but honestly, it's like paying rent, although you do live in bigger apartments or houses. So, as it may be tempting to buying a home in Texas because it looks so affordable and there is very low upfront cost, but over the time you do pay way more taxes in property tax, and it's like you're constantly paying rent. So sometimes it may actually worth it just to rent instead of to buy. One of the most shocking factors to me when I first moved to Texas is how inconvenient it is to use public transportation. You almost have to drive here. Okay, just to be fair, if you are just going from your apartment to your school or your apartment to work, if you select your apartment location very wisely, you may be able to take buses. But honestly, it's the most inconvenient thing in the world. So you just have to own a vehicle and hop on a vehicle, and everything is basically drive-through from now. In most of the cities, the public transportation in downtown is a little bit more convenient compared to a lot of the suburb areas. But if you come here for school, such as if you go to UT Health or like other medical schools here, you almost always need a car or vehicle because you may actually take 1.5 hours to get on a bus compared to driving for only 20 minutes. So it definitely saves me a lot of time, even though though, sometimes I do use buses. What I do is that sometimes I find a free parking lot, I park there, and then I take the bus to go downtown to attend certain events, and in the end I don't have to just stuck in the traffic over there. I can just hop on a bus and go back to the parking lot. But that is my usage of buses. Mostly you just have to force yourself to drive. When I first moved here, I didn't know how to drive, and it's definitely very scary since the speed limit here is very, very high. Everybody drives very, very fast, but eventually it gets very easy to drive here since we don't share lanes with bikes and people, so it's definitely not difficult. It's just you may have to think about saving money for buying a car and also car insurance. When it comes to living in Texas, if you're choosing a location to buy a house or rent an apartment, location matters a lot in Texas. Okay, so location may actually means a lot in every single state, but in Texas, different locations actually have different weather. It has different culture, and the traffic jam could also vary a lot from location to locations. For example, in some places, it's more of a desert climate where there's sandstorms sometimes. That is some sort of extreme weather. Like in Houston area, it is very humid compared to other areas, could be very dry. And the community is very different as well. Like you could live with German community, Mexican community, Asian community. And if you're apartment hunting or house hunting, I really suggest you to drive to that location or from that location during the traffic hours to see how bad the traffic is. Because one time my friend really saw a really nice apartment and she wanted to get it. And then I asked her to drive that area from 4 to 6 and she totally abandoned that idea. Honestly, do your research because there are definitely some neighborhoods that are way safer than the others because I don't know why, but when I first came here, a lot of local residents told me do not go to certain neighborhoods alone at night, and I've heard of some crimes going on in certain area. My friends definitely got into some scares, but overall, I want to say it's pretty safe in the majority of places. Another thing I notice about Texans is that they do really love their country music. Texas weather could be very interesting because there are mainly 2 seasons. There is summer and there is winter. Yeah, there are no other seasons. Basically, I wear shorts and t-shirts almost all year long except for 2 months in winter. But overall, I really enjoyed the weather. I know in summer, the hot weather could get to 110 degrees, which is crazy, but that is the time you stay indoors. And in winter, it doesn't get super cold. Sometimes it does drop below 0, which is 32 Fahrenheit, but it usually occurs at night. So one big advice from me is to check the weather app every single day. Texas weather is extremely unpredictable. Sometimes in the morning around 10 a.m. it is 75 degrees Fahrenheit, which is very warm for a winter day. And then 3 hours later in the afternoon, it dropped to 34. I know, within 3 hours. So definitely make sure you check the weather app. Usually they're somewhat accurate except for the time when they predict the rain because Texas just showers whenever it wants.
Starting to rain.
So what are we gonna do? It rains now.
You can only walk. Walk through a downpour.
It's sunny, but
we're all wet.
We're all soaking wet because the only reason is because we live in Texas.
Texas show.
Texas, yeah. But we're probably gonna go back. We walked back and forth.
No, it's fine.
Okay, this vlog just become way more interesting than it was.
Right, see, now it's content.
Now it's content.
The school system in Texas are generally pretty good. However, they do not use Common Core standards. Basically, they teach to TEKS, which is Texas Education Standards. It's basically comparable to the Common Core curriculum. It's pretty good, but Texas is one of the very few states that do not adopt the National Common Core standards for the curriculum. Generally, it is pretty important to enroll in a better school district, and within a school district, there are definitely better performing schools. So when you're considering moving to a location or buy a property, definitely look for the associated schools, and everything is on the TEA website. So every school accountability performance is available there. Unfortunately, there is a huge gap in the performance between schools and districts, so it is pretty important to check that information. Another thing about school enrollment is that certain districts have certain rules with the transportation, so definitely check that if you moved into certain houses, do you qualify to receive school bus transportation services with that school? Because if you live too close to that school, the school may actually require you to walk to the school instead of providing a transportation service. So definitely check that out. I know some districts may have different policies with that. So call before you actually set in stone to buy a house. All right, now let's talk about my favorite thing, food. If you're a meat lover, Texas is definitely a very good destination for you to move because we have really good barbecue. Like Texas barbecue is pretty famous, and we also have the famous Tex-Mex. Most of the public parks and also the apartment complex, they even provide the barbecue stations where you can barbecue at home. And if you buy a house, you can definitely buy your own barbecue station so you can do your own grilling at home. So definitely 4th of July, Memorial Day, and Christmas break, definitely all very good time for a barbecue party. There are definitely a variety of restaurants all across Texas serving different types of food such as Tex-Mex, German food, Chinese food, Japanese food, and all very good food. But in general, I want to say that on average, the restaurants in New York, they do taste a little bit better and they do have more innovative ideas when it comes to food and drinks. But I can't really complain because Texas feed me really well. But yes, it's one of the shortcomings of Texas compared to New York or California. It's definitely that our restaurants could do a little bit better, or we could have a larger variety of restaurants. Moving from a metropolitan city of Beijing to Texas, the first thing I noticed in terms of lifestyle is that most of the people here are pretty laid back. I think most people here are pretty content with their life. They usually take their time to do stuff. And overall, I felt like people are really friendly. I've done my fair share of travels in the United States. I would rate people in Texas as the #1 nice people. I remember when I first came here, I didn't speak much English. I have pretty heavy accent and I had no idea what's going on, and somebody was trying to help me to pick a course and time and everything, and they asked me where I live. I said, there is a Walmart next to my apartment. That's right. But in Texas, most people are so nice. They even go out of their way to help me, and they're so patient with me, even though I didn't understand much English, I didn't speak much English. Yeah, academic English is definitely very different from straight English. But overall, this is definitely the best first destination I could ever choose because it was definitely transforming experience to me, and without those nice people's help, I wouldn't be able to adapt to American culture and school and everything so quickly. So I just want to say, Texans, I am very grateful and I am so happy that I moved to Texas. There are many things to do on the weekends or over the long weekends, such as this natural beach cavern. You could also go to the beach, but I wouldn't say the beaches here in Texas definitely not as cool as California or Miami. Yes, I love Miami Beach. But overall, I do really like all of the entertainment activities here. There are many things to do. And worst case scenario, you just take a car ride and drive it, well, for 8 hours until you exit Texas finally, and you could go to Louisiana and other states. So I think entertainment wise, I can always travel to New York and California during the weekends or during the long weekends, during the vacations. But Texas is definitely one of the places I would choose to live, despite of the high property tax and a lot of the cons like having to drive every single day. But overall, I do think it's worth it to move to Texas. Alrighty, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this video can give you some insights and experience from my perspective about moving to Texas. Things I wish I knew before coming here, but definitely it's been a really great experience living in Texas for almost 9 years. So if you plan to move to Texas, welcome to Texas. Alrighty, that's it for today. Before you go, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. I really appreciate your support. It really means a lot to me. If you could subscribe and ring the notification bell, personalize the bell, and check out my other lifestyle videos, food videos, and education videos. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!
If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up
And subscribe to my channel.
subscribe to my channel.